It's so interesting,
Yeah, okay.
like we make it true about how just we felt about the things.
Yes.
Yeah.
How we perceive it. It's all about how we
Yeah.
perceive it.
If it's all about how we felt it, that's something we
Yeah,
can change.
right. I think one of the things I've had to tell myself is because I always felt like, well, I have a right to my feelings. And
Mm,
we do have a right to our feelings, but we also owe it to ourselves to be accountable for those feelings.
that's
We
right.
owe it to ourselves to be accountable for how we receive things or how we perceive things because it may not be that way. So I think accountability is something that is so iced over. And if we can go around that route, we will, as far as accountability. Because it's always easy to point one finger at someone else when we have four pointing back at us, which is, something I think that's very important is to really look in the mirror and speak those truths to ourselves. I have really learned over the last 5 years to be accountable for everything, even if it's like you say, Debbie, the way you perceive something, the way you go to someone and you think, oh, they're gonna apologize, but we're really going to them saying, you know what, that didn't work out. And I know you took most of the blame for that, but this is where I feel like I was accountable. And this
Mm,
is where I feel like I could have done something different. Not that we would have had a different outcome in the situation because it was toxic, it was not a good situation. But here's where I fell short, and here's where my journaling and my work has shown me I could have done something differently. And I'm sorry I
mm,
wasn't strong enough to love you in that way.
mm.
Or I'm sorry that I was, had a part of me in that moment missing or not connecting properly or glitching out that I didn't realize that, this was toxic. We probably shouldn't go there. We probably shouldn't do this.
Like we tend to be a victim instead of really
Always,
facing
always.
our reality. And I
Yeah,
think the journaling it helps when it comes with it. Because when you
it
write
does.
down all those victim mindset, you see that, oh, this is not true.
Right. And then you're like,
Oh,
okay, I probably need to pop these balloons. This pity party needs to end.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
I,
over.
I think for me, in past situations, I've it's helped me to take the emotion out, because if I take the emotion out of the situation, and it goes back to what Debbie said, we can only change it ourselves. We can only
Mm-hmm.
change
Mm-hmm.
our behavior, and so we have to take accountability for our part in creating that situation. And I've had situations where I've been really outraged and thinking, oh my God, they did this, they did that, they did that. And then I stopped and I thought, well, it takes two to make an argument, right?
Uh-huh.
So,
Absolutely.
what was my part in? How did I contribute to escalate the situation? And that's really helped me, because when I stop and I go through it without the emotions, it's not really what was said, and it was how I felt. It was how it made me feel. Now, if I can take the feelings out, what was really happening,
Mm-hmm.
and then you sort of break it down and you think, oh, I kind of screwed up a little bit there. I shouldn't have said that thing, because I knew that was going to, like turn the screw in a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. We know what we're doing when we sort of say things sometimes very
Oh,
subconsciously. Yeah. So,
and
so
sometimes we mean to dig. Sometimes you've hurt me, and I really want this to stab you right in the gut because that's where you just stabbed me. And I know I've been guilty of that. Like, not on a daily, but yeah, if I get hurt to that point. And I watched a podcast the other day that was so interesting. And one of the things he was explaining about why we should take a beat before we speak if someone
right.
has hurt us is the very back of your brain is where the fight or flight mode is. So that
Mm,
has to travel all the way to the front of your brain where you can make wise choices and decisions, whether to say something or whether not. And by the time it gets from here to here, I've already said way more oftentimes than I should have. So I'm trying very hard to, and have been for a long time, when somebody says something, to just wait a minute to process it, because I'm not on the clock.
Right.
And I've always felt
That's
like I
right.
had to be the first one to say something and the last one to say, like I wanted the first dig and the last word. And really, why? All that's done is cause me misery my entire life. You know, guilt of, oh, why did I say this? Or why didn't I shut
Mm.
up here? Or why did I even open the door? Because nobody's going to argue by themselves. Why did I even acknowledge that comment? It was not even worth my acknowledging it. Now I'm devastated for weeks over this one thing that could have been avoided with just a little bit of patience and a little bit of tenderness and a whole lot of shutting up. So I think that's why I'm in a sweet season, is because I have finally learned just to shut up. I don't necessarily have to protect the little girl within anymore. She's okay. And I don't have to protect me, because I know me. And I think that's what it took, is knowing that I know me and that I really do have good intentions for everybody that I meet. I don't want to harm anyone. And I have to believe that they don't want to harm me either. I have to trust and believe that the world is not out to get me.
I'm so inspired of what Victoria said in our last recording, that you said we are trying to heal something we didn't even break. And we are doing that in our whole life. And
Mm-hmm.
then if we could separate our own responsibility and
Mm-hmm.
other people's responsibility, if we could separate that, our life could be so much easier.
I
And let
didn't
people do
realize,
their role as them instead of trying
yeah,
to do their life for them, or oh, this is what they meant, or take if we're not taking people at their word, we're altering the reality,
that's very
even
true.
more.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that's a great point, Tadao. Yeah,
And not
Isn't it
wisdom.
so
given,
interesting that like we believe in so much what happens in our life based on how we feel, and we spend so much time on something we cannot even control.
Right.
ah, yes.
Work on yourself. You work
Yeah.
on fixing. I mean, it's not in fixing, because if we believe we're all whole and healed and complete, it's about, okay, so what do I need to do? What do I need to learn? Because I can't do anything that somebody else is. We talked about this. You can say something to 4 different people. They will all hear different things, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
everyone is picking up what serves them and what they need to hear in that moment. And I spent a lot of my time trying to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, like listening to this person's point of view, and then the person they're fighting with, listening to their point of view, and trying to come to some understanding between the two of them. And I actually stopped doing that now, because I'm not here to heal anyone. I'm not here to help anyone.
Yeah.
Everything changed for me the day
Mm-hmm.
I decided to step away and not engage.
Yeah. I'm
Mm-hmm.
still
Mm-hmm.
learning.
Yeah, we're still learning. We're always learning, right? Everything that happens to us is that learning curve, is that growth. But I really do believe we all have to work on ourselves. Our perception, it's always our perception. It's never the truth, really, is it? So
Mm.
I'm learning to be a lot more, and actually that makes me a lot more forgiving, because I will
Yes.
say, do you know what? Maybe they were having a bad day. Maybe that wasn't, what they meant, and it's okay. I can only control my piece of it, and I'm letting go of so many things
Mm-hmm.
that
Mm-hmm.
that now when somebody will speak to me about a situation, I'll say that's in the past. Don't want to go there. Let's not go there.
And how I look at it is, you can be, as we say, you can be right or you can be happy.
Right.
Mm.
So I always think about that now when somebody wants to argue or disagree. I'm like, I mean, I don't think there's a book in heaven that says every time I was right. So I think you can be right or you can be happy, and sometimes you can't be both. And being in a disagreement about the most stupid things sometimes on earth. And it's all about, I was reading the other day, why do people argue? And one of it is to be validated. We want to be validated, we want to be heard, we want to be right. And that's basically why we argue with someone. So if you take those out of the equation, and I think that all is just a big part of pride. But once we take our ego and our pride out of it, like, okay, you do you, because honestly, by this afternoon, I'm not even going to remember what the argument was about. So I may as well shut up and save my sanity for a few more weeks of life.
Both people are right. That actually levels the playing field for me, that they are doing themselves and having their feelings.
Right.
I'm doing me and having my feelings. There's nothing to compare. There's nobody right or wrong.
Right.
Dropping the whole right wrong argument, black, white, light, darkness, like drop that whole thing. Then what is there?
There you go.
Everything is one.
That's a great point.
Everything is in the right context. It's that we try to manipulate others or ourselves to be something else or that someone else, right?
Absolutely.
So,
love your perspective, Debbie.
I do too. That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
Because I used to fight for the principle of the thing when I was younger. It was like the principle, like, but Mum, it's the principle. And now it's I was so argumentative when I was a child, in my teenage years and my early 20s. And now I look back and I'm like, God, I used to argue for no bloody reason whatsoever. It was just that I felt it was the principle. I was fighting for that. But what the hell is that anyway, right?
Right.
I did the same.
That's just my perspective,
crazy.
My principle. Doesn't mean anything.
That's my everyday life. I face this right or wrong conversation with my customer and with my team, like every fucking single day.
No reservations. You don't take reservations?
And I'm like,
that's wrong.
But when it comes with a customer, I cannot say,
I
cannot be rude. But like when I'm with my team, I would say, I'm not interested in a right or wrong conversation. What do you want? And what's the solution? Just tell me.
That's right. Let's get to the point.
Let's get to the point.
So what is the solution?
Yeah.
There are too many solutions. What solution do you want to use in this situation? Or we're going to use my solution. I know there's a lot of options here, but today we're using mine. This is what we're doing. So it's either one of those, right?
I think if we could all just be real and just say, wow, this happened and this happened, not in a complaining sense of the word, but just being real. I think the more real I am with myself, the happier I am. The more I don't try to have everything perfect and everything, in a controlled environment where if anything goes wrong, there's already a solution to it. And all that thinking was like exhausting.
And that's where you feel least lonely, I think. When you're on journey, like just Victoria said before, it's very alone. I felt lonely when I was surrounded by the people who want the fake version of myself. Because I was faking myself to fit into this community. So I had a lot of friends, but I felt so lonely in there because I was so far away from where I really am.
Yeah, your journeys weren't the same. I thought about you the other day. Jay Shetty's commercial or reel or whatever about life coaching came up, and he was like, I just remember when I decided I wanted to be a life coach, my family and friends thought I was crazy. Like nobody wanted a part of that. And I thought about you because of what your situation, different people with different opinions. And I think we all go through that.
The biggest piece of everything that we're talking about that really resonates with me today when you were saying you were really lonely. It's the thing is, you take yourself wherever you go. So the thing is, if you're not content inside, then you can go to the greatest, most beautiful place in the world. You're still going to feel the way you were when you were back home. And that's why I think it is really important for us to spend time with ourselves. I absolutely love the time that I spend with myself, because it's time for reflection. And when I can quiet all the noise and distraction and just sit with myself, then I really do get a true sense of like who I am, what I'm feeling, and what it is that I really want to be. And I think we've done that, because if we hadn't done that, we wouldn't be here right now. We wouldn't know that the thing that we really want to do is to be of service, is to help. So,
I
if you're
think
feeling lonely with a group of people, then you have to truly go back, see what it is, what's missing in there, what it is that you need, what you can do for yourself, right? Because we are the
oftentimes,
only people that can heal ourselves.
yeah, and
Yeah.
oftentimes we outgrow. If we're growing and working on us, then and we've talked about this before, you do outgrow people. If you're
Right.
fortunate, you can go around and pick them up again and they'll come back with you. But when we're in a state of growth, I think it causes so much fear in the ones that love us. They're so afraid we're going to do great and wonderful things and they're going to miss out on it, or they're so afraid we're going to mess up and they're going to have to fix it, or whatever their fear is. There's always a fear behind that. And I noticed that, like, when I first started changing, I heard the word, you're just, from one of my friends, you're just so unrelatable.
Oh,
And to
wow.
me, that was the best compliment, because that meant I was no longer fake. I was no longer
All
faking life.
right.
I was no longer going along with the Stepford wife deal. I had broken the chains that were binding me. And so I was unrelatable because I had a voice. I just knew that there was a difference in me, and I could feel I could feel a huge shift in me. And I knew, to those people, those certain people that I'd been with all these years, I was very unrelatable. They've since come to know me again and love me in a new manner, and with a different kind of respect, and they see me in a different light. But in that moment, they were horrified. Like, did the aliens take her last night? We didn't know about it. What happened? So it's just funny to watch the different cycles of life repeat themselves
Yeah.
over and over and over. And someone has always been in that spot, and someone has always felt that pain. And I think that's what's great about what we're doing, is hopefully those will be the people that can find us.
We should have
But
you, Debbie, as a
you,
boss.
you are the
Every
boss
company in
lady.
America.
Debbie
Yes.
should be controlling it, right?
Yeah.
That's right. She knows. I know the best, you guys. You should just live this way.
Thank you so much for watching AI Breakout, where our AI stands for authentic individuals. Please like and follow, and we love you, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.